America.
Welcome to the Costa Mesa Pettis Perspective. This is Jeff Pettis. This is episode number 28, and thanks for watching as usual. And tonight we are taking a break from council this time. There was some things I wanted to talk about that are relative to the current environment right now, mainly Ukraine as it relates to the Second Amendment and what I plan to do going forward as being a part of that whole thing. So first, what I want to do is I want to say that I don't want to get into the debate over Ukraine and whether or not, the politics of it. Should we, shouldn't we, enough, not enough. The main thing is we have a democratic nation. Yes, it's got flaws, but a democratic nation being invaded by a totalitarian dictator named Vladimir Putin, and on both sides people are dying. Loss of life I take seriously. None of us, or I don't want to see that happen. I think it's a terrible thing that's happening to people that are in the way of bullets and missiles and soldiers and trucks and all that. So I don't want, that's not the purpose. What I do want to talk about is how I think the current climate in Ukraine is a good example, a really, really good example of why the Second Amendment is so important, generally speaking, and specifically in this country. And no, the country, our country and Ukraine are very different in size, makeup. What it's about the size of Texas, they say, something like that. But imagine being at the dinner table, right? You're thinking maybe Putin has threatened to invade at some point, but you really don't believe it's going to happen. Your leader is downplaying it. You don't think they will actually invade the country. You're eating dinner with your family, and suddenly you hear the air raid sirens go off, and you hear reports of troops moving in, missiles landing, all that stuff. And imagine sitting there and all of a sudden your world is thrust into chaos and you haven't left the country. You need to leave the country. So it's too late. You can't leave. It's dangerous to leave. It's dangerous to get on the road. And you have only yourself, your neighbors, and your community to defend yourself. And that is the point in which it's important to be a firearms owner, because it's your duty as the man of the house, woman of the house, leader of the community to protect those around you. And as we know, they are handing out rifles and to the citizens and expecting them to fight. Again, it's not the same. They're not a constitutional republic like we are, but they are a democratic country. Yes, there's corruption. And it became very clear that even the most ardent anti-gun person in Ukraine needed a gun, wanted a gun, and took up arms to defend their country. And that all debate goes out the window at that point. And so my thing is that it's not impossible. It's not likely, but that situation, similar situations on a smaller scale, bigger scale, could happen in this country. We've enjoyed 100% peace in my generation on the home front. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that something like that could happen in this country. And that is where the Second Amendment comes into play. And it's a very, very important thing to me in the Bill of Rights. It's yes, I understand that it's a controversial topic. There's lots of people that are scared of guns, don't understand guns, don't like guns. There's political debate on both sides of whether or not they're good, bad, whether we should or shouldn't. The fact of the matter is we do have the Second Amendment in this country, which is a constitutionally protected right to keep and bear arms. And those that are anti-Second Amendment or don't believe in this idea like to hearken back to the militia. They'll quote the militia. They'll point to the part of the amendment, and they will make the point that it's for. It was only intended by the framers for the militia, and what they're insinuating or implying is that the militia is an army, and the army is the only entity in our country that should have military style weapons or weapons at all. And I think it's an important distinction to make. There's a lot of misinformation out there about that. The militia in the late 1700s, mid to late 1700s, the militia referred to, if you were a white male at the time, yes, I know that was back in those times, a male, you were expected, if you were a military age male, an adult male, to own a gun by law, and you were automatically a part of the militia. The Minutemen were the first when they're referring to the militia. So at that time, it wasn't referring to an army, an organized military to take up arms against tyranny. And that's what the Second Amendment is designed for. It's not designed for hunting. As President Biden said in his State of the Union address last night, that, hey man, what do you think? Deer are wearing Kevlar vests? I'm not stating it exactly correctly, but what he's insinuating is that somehow the Second Amendment is for hunting, or we should have guns only for hunting. The Second Amendment makes no mention of hunting, has nothing to do with hunting. It has to do with fighting and taking up arms against a tyrannical government or an invading tyranny. So, and for the record, an AR-15 is going to zip right through a Kevlar vest. So the people that are the loudest about gun control usually are the least informed. Now, I do understand that there is a lot of fear and guns are dangerous. It is true that they're dangerous, but it is a part of this country. It is what our country was founded on. And depends on the data you look at, 300 to 400 million guns in this country currently. And gun control is not all the constant drumbeat is more gun laws. We already have a lot of gun laws. In this state, we have a very large amount of restrictive gun laws that, in my humble opinion, are infringing on our Second Amendment rights a lot. I'm not one of these people that think all gun laws are an infringement. I mean, I think any reasonable person, or most reasonable people, or level-headed people do think that there are certain folks that should not own or be prohibited from owning guns. If you're a violent felon, we have laws in place. You have to pass background checks. So that's up for debate. I'm probably going to get yelled at by some of my more ardent gun supporters. I'm pretty Second Amendment friendly, very Second Amendment friendly, but I do believe there's things in place that are good. Passing a background check, it's not that big of a deal if you're. So anyway, there are current gun laws in place, and more gun laws are not going to restrict or not going to reduce gun violence in this country because criminals don't follow laws to begin with. And if a simple cursory look at the stats in this country related to violent crime and gun crime, most all of the gun-friendly or gun-friendlier states, counties, cities that have the least restrictive laws usually have less violent crime. And so the solution isn't more gun laws. It's teaching people how to safely use firearms. It's more good guys with a gun. It is going to, and the data proves this, is going to lessen gun crime. And in our major cities, the media often, there are some horrible things that happen with guns. I'm not going to deny that. That's the fact of life. But the media does not very often put stories out of good guys with guns preventing violent crime. It's much, much more. I'm not going to get into the statistics of it right now. Much more of that happening than one might think. And if you think that guns in this country, lots of guns in this country, aren't a deterrent or don't have a deterrent effect to those considering bringing war or violence from abroad to our homeland, are mistaken. Isoroku Yamamoto, there's some debate over this quote too, but it's pretty well understood that he did say, he was an admiral in the Japanese army around World War II. He said, you can't invade the mainland of the United States. It would be a rifle behind every blade of grass. And so what he's saying is it's a bad idea. If you choose to invade this country, you're going to have a lot of freedom-loving patriots coming back. So That is how I relate that kind of the Ukraine situation. Again, I understand there are people that are fearful of guns and don't want to own them. That's completely within that person's right. But I do think that it is the responsible thing to do to embrace the Second Amendment and be a responsible gun owner and be a sheepdog, not a sheep, to protect against the wolves. So I don't talk about this much on my videos, these kinds of things, because I know how controversial it is. But those who know me know that I am a big sports shooter. I like to hunt. I've been, going back to when I was a little boy with my grandparents. So related to how I'm going to be involved with the Second Amendment, most of you know that I was on the board of CMRA for a long time, or a year, and that was a great experience. But my newest endeavor is I am blessed to be a board member of the Orange County Gun Owners PAC, and I am one of a number of board members, and I've been part of their board not very long now, several weeks. I've been to a couple of their events, and what I like about this organization is, one, they are solely 100% about the Second Amendment and about protecting the rights of legal gun owners in this county. And they are very mature, serious-minded, level-headed group of men and women. And it's not a partisan effort with the Orange County Gun Owners PAC. It is a simple protection of the Second Amendment and the rights to keep and bear arms in this county. And a lot of things that we'll be doing will be concealed carry seminars, how to obtain your CCW, talking about good cause statements, will be available. We just recently did a seminar with the We the People group. Thank you for inviting us, by the way, at Zito's Pizza out in Orange. Had a nice showing. I will be, one of my responsibilities, likely not set in stone yet, will be the guy that will be doing those seminars on the Zoom calls. And I will also be, another big function of OC Gun Owners PAC is vetting of local candidates and endorsement process for local races on up to Orange County supervisor level. So it'll be Orange County supervisor level and below. We won't be endorsing on the at the state legislature or national elections, but we will be spending time and money, and I'll be a big part of that process. We want to make sure, and by the way, if you had an example of, let's say we had two council people that were wanting the endorsement of Orange County Gun Owners PAC. One was a righty, one was a lefty. The righty is he says all the right things about local politics and what it means to be a Republican, but he's weak on the Second Amendment. And I have a guy on the other side, lefty, or a woman on the other side, that is might not be with us on everything. I don't know, right to life, maybe even just pick a main topic, but they were strong on the Second Amendment, and we could vet that out, and they can prove it. We're going to go with that leftist that is behind the Second Amendment. It's pretty rare that happens. I understand that we do say we are nonpartisan, which is 100% true. But candidly, Second Amendment tends to fall on the right side, but it doesn't always. So that's important to point out. Everybody knows where I stand politically, but I take it very seriously, my job as a board member of OC Gun Owners PAC. So I am on the board now, and I'm grateful to the organization to be a part of it. I encourage you strongly to become a member. It's $10 a month. I think you can get a discount for $100 for the year. And all of that money will be very little. I mean, it's all volunteers, so nobody's getting paid in this group. But it goes toward vetting, endorsing. We're also, as an organization, involved in some of the lawsuits. I believe the Firearms Policy Commission, we've been on some of those lawsuits. So we're involved, very involved. And I hope to get us even more involved. And I'm going to, being that I've taken a swipe at the local politics thing and will likely do so in the future, I can help on that level. And again, I'm happy to be a part of it. So the important thing overall else is to be kind to yourself, be good to each other. Together we can get it done. Bye for now.